Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. This is the ARPA Institute panel discussion. Today, we'll be talking about FemInno, the new organization in Armenia that is promoting women in high technology and business. Before we start, I would like to say a few words about the ARPA Institute and our activities in Armenia. We have been working in Armenia for the past 30 years, and our activities are mainly in science, technology, healthcare, education, and other areas, working with the universities, as well as the Academy of Sciences and the government of Armenia. We try to promote education in STEM A actually, and STEM R, and then also promote better healthcare or advanced research and development, and also startups. We work on several new projects, one of them being the clean room, the class 1000 clean room, newly established in the Oroudjian National Lab, and it is meant for very sensitive research in Armenia, where scientists can perform their latest research on new materials or other areas that need very sensitive, very clean environments. It is already functioning right now, and we are filling up the location, the clean room, with necessary instrumentation and devices so that the most advanced research can take place. We also have the annual invention competition for young scientists that we've been holding for the last 15 years. And we receive the inventions in various areas. It's open to all young scientists below 35 years old. We send the inventions to experts, and each invention should at least be evaluated by 3 experts. And then we determine the winners. The first phase is to decide 5 or around 5 inventions that could participate in the major invention competition. Then we will ask these 5 to send complete proposals of their invention, and again, the complete proposal will be evaluated. We also work on developing the new science fair process in the schools of Armenia. We are working with the government of Armenia, the Ministry of Education, Science, Science and Culture and Sports, and we try to promote the methodology of science, the scientific method, so that the students can learn what the scientific method is. And we have already, this is the 3rd year, the government of Armenia has adopted the program, and they are organizing what is called in Armenia Dovlatyan Paradon. And this year they had received 72 projects, and the winner has already been decided, and the winning team will participate in the International Science and Engineering Fair that is held every year in the United States. And actually, there was a winner. One of the project won $500 as the 4th place among thousands and thousands of participants from all over the world, which is, I think, a very good success. And also, of course, we work with the universities and the Academy of Sciences, other institutes. We provide them with the necessary and very important instrumentation and guidelines and also we try to help them become more productive. In other words, try to get into the production phase of the research. And now I would like to introduce the moderator of today, Dr. Ani Shabazian, who is our board member, and also she's been a board member for quite a few years now. And she is in education, healthcare, child education mostly, in the Loyola Marymount University, and she's the director of the Child Care Center in Loyola Marymount University. And also she was the director of the Children's Center in UCLA, and she's the author of 3 books and many, many reports and articles and presentations. So she's an expert in childcare. Ani, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Papoyan. And as always, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you. Good morning and good evening to those of you tuning in from Armenia, which includes all of our guest speakers today. I would like to thank the ARPA Institute for featuring this conversation on FemInno, the largest female conference in Armenia and in the greater region. Through their steadfast work, ARPA in Armenia and continues to serve as a steady reminder that progress can be made when we work together. Today's session focuses on the women who are situated in positions of leadership in Armenia. Presented will be facts about the first and largest female innovation conference in Armenia, and as I said earlier, in the entire region, FemInno, the main actors in the initiative, as well as the primary objectives of this conference. Discussions will also include the number of ways to get engaged and take a more active role in driving change for female talent and leadership in Armenia. I look forward to all of us listening and closely and engaging with the panelists. I will ask a series of questions as the moderator, and then I would like to offer the floor to you, the audience, so that what I don't address, you can do so by writing your questions in the chat box. We are also being featured on Facebook Live right now, so feel free to write comments in the comment section on Facebook, and Dr. Papoyan and I will try to field the questions as best as we can to make sure everyone gets airtime. So allow me to tell you a little bit about our panelists who are joining us here today. Seda Papoyan has about 20 years of experience in communication and project management with a specialty in nonprofit, social entrepreneurship, and fundraising. She is the founder and managing director of Girls in Tech Armenia chapter and has initiated the largest women in innovation conference in Armenia and in the region, FemInno, happening in Yerevan now annually on the last weekend of July. In 2021, Seda joined to set up a new French-Armenian educational foundation and the RELC Technology School as the executive director, which he still currently holds that role. Seda Papoyan acts also as a social activist, promoting women's rights, supporting and empowering girls and women as full members of society. Nare Dovlatyan is the co-organizer of FemInno and the operations manager at Girls in Tech Armenia. She's the co-founder of MUT community platform. Nare has demonstrated experience in operations and project management, and now into no-code development. She is committed to promoting diversity in tech and is passionate about technology, business startups, personal growth, and marketing. Meri Grigoryan has a bachelor's degree in computer science and data science. In Tumo Labs, training on machine learning and internship in the Armenian Bioinformatics Institute. Meri is a student at Jacobs University Bremen, Google DSC Tech Lead at Jacobs University, FemInno Ambassador. She is one of the scholarship awardees of Sona Manatsakanian Female Talent Scholarship Fund. Finally, we have Haikouhi Oroudjian, was born in 1989 in Armenia, moved to Los Angeles at a very early age, then to France as a teenager. She studied clinical psychology and criminology, becoming a psychologist specializing in psychopathology. Haikouhi has worked in many medical institutions and hospitals, but gained the main experience in helping women who are victims of domestic violence over the years. She felt the double standards of the workforce and decided to study a male-specific field, that is artificial intelligence. And before moving to Armenia, she worked at Microsoft as a data consultant. Like many other diaspora Armenians, war became a calling for Haikouhi. She moved to Armenia, and thanks to great friendships, Okni was born. Finally, I'd like to also give a moment for Gayane Markosyan to briefly introduce herself. She will be our discussant after the panelists. Gayane?
It's my pleasure to be at this event, as I am passionate about women leadership, innovation, technology. I am the head of PR and communications at Synopsys Armenia. It's already 17 years, and I'm responsible for media relations, for government relations. I'm also leading a community project, and starting from 2006, we arranged and held a huge project with ATP, Armenia Tree Project, and My Forest Armenia. And I'm also teaching in universities. I have a PhD in technical science. My major is optimization and control systems. And I'm teaching in Polytechnic University, Armenian Pedagogical University. What else? I have more than 40 scientific and methodical works. I supervised more than 100 master and diploma theses. And I was so lucky, just 2 weeks as a community champion and Synopsys. I was in California. Synopsys invited me to award with the CSR Excellence Award. It was given for leading the Armenia Green Team. I'm a little bit embarrassed to introduce myself, but that's just a part that I can tell about.
No, I appreciate it. I think that's part of our struggle, right? We need to be confident in introducing our achievements and embrace them. We've worked hard for them. Thank you so much. And thank you, panelists, for your time here today. I'd like to begin by asking our panelists each to do a quick 5 to 10 minute presentation about their platform and the work that their field of inquiry and what they're engaged in now. I'd like to start with Seda. Seda, would you please tell us a little bit about your work and use the floor is yours. So feel free to use any video or slideshows you have available to you today.
Thank you, Ani and Dr. Panelists. Thank you for the invitation, first of all, to be your guest speakers here at ARPA panel discussion. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here and to present what we are doing on the ground in Armenia. And thanks everyone for your time joining and following us. I am happy and proud to present what we have been doing for more than 6 years now on the ground, being very much passionate about women issues and technology myself. Back in 2017, I started the Girls in Tech chapter, Girls in Tech Armenia chapter, which is a part of a global network of nonprofit organizations passionate about promoting women in technology. When I started the chapter, one of the main goals was to understand whether it is important to support, whether it is needed on the ground to support women and girls in the field. And after some of experiments with together with a small team, we realized, I am happy to say that for the past years, we can proudly say that it is also thanks to our own efforts that the idea of promoting women in the technology field is one of the hottest topics in Armenia right now. While we have been trying to experiment with some of the global programs of girls in tech, we mostly concentrated our efforts on 3 E directions. We call those are engaging, educating, and empowering women into technology. We have been trying different programs and understanding what are trying to base them on the local needs. And I'm happy to say that we, after several years of activities, we realized that the more we focus on early ages, and the more we focus on regional development, the more benefits will all the parties get. That being said, I'm happy to mention some of the very successful programs we have been doing. Among them, most activities covering educational field. For example, one of the most successful programs we did, we called STEM Power Girls Armenia, where we tried to promote STEM in general, the fields, and try to do career orientation program for a number of high school girls, about 250 girls from all the regions of Armenia. That was a traveling camp trying to engage them and kind of inspire them to choose the career they felt is perfect for them, regardless the challenges and lack of opportunities, especially in the distant communities and villages in Armenia. And that being said, I'm happy now, very proud to realize that after that specific program, we now have, for example, a number of girls out of the graduates of the program who come back with their success stories, like how they pass through the challenge of convincing the family to allow them choose the STEM path, how they covered a number of difficulties to pass through local challenges and try to reach a university in Armenia to study STEM, and similar problems they managed to cover, also thanks to the motivation, a kind of girl power we provided through our STEM camps. So this is one of the programs we have been doing. And then we moved to also empowering other STEM programs, including working with teachers and then doing a number of empowerment programs. And at the end, last year, we decided to get to our so-called dream project, which we called FemInno, and we decided to kind of create our own local brand that's a mix of 2 words, female and innovation. And we decided to position Armenia as a new hub for female talent and leadership. I'm going to share my screen and bring up some slides so that you can follow me. And just a moment to present some of the things. I think you can now see my screen. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes,
Yes, we see.
Okay, good. FemInno is a conference we say and confirm is the first and the biggest, not only in Armenia, but also in the region. It is happening annually starting last year on the last weekend of July. This year it's happening on the 29th and 30th of July. This year the topic is heading to metaverse, having sustainable development. So what is the overall mission and focus of the conference is to, of course, keep empowering girls and women in business, science, and technology, push education opportunities, try further engaging them into the field, and of course create more networking and job opportunities for them. The whole idea started last year, and we are super excited to have really big numbers covering a huge geography of international speakers from Canada to Nigeria. And here you see some photos from last year conference, including Synopsys. I'm happy to have Guyana here on board, Synopsys being one of our really effective and important partners. Here are some numbers that you can, some stats like 30 plus partners, then more than 1,500 500 attendees, which is, you can imagine, huge for Armenia being only up to 3 million people on the ground. We had 20 plus speakers, more than half of them being international speakers, and more than 15 countries engaged as being participants and also speakers from all over the world. Here you see the very nice map we are very proud to put together, representing how we managed to engage people from all these different countries to come and be a part of this growing new community in Armenia. Here are all those different partners we managed to engage, being the conference being the first time in Armenia. And of course, the wonderful speakers we managed to have on board, including men, and I'm super happy to speak about the fact that whatever we do, we never create counter discrimination. Instead, we try to engage as many men as possible, without whom we cannot change the positions and kind of push the idea of promoting and celebrating female talent and leadership. And also, I'm happy to share that the government of Armenia is trying to support at least the idea of doing it. And we had the Vice Speaker of the Parliament opening the conference last year. This year, we have the Minister of Education and Sciences to speak at the conference. And I'm happy now to pass the word to my colleague Nare Dovlatyan here. She will take up some of other activities we engage, and other panelists here will represent their parts, being also beneficiaries of what we do on the ground. Nare, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this year, FemInno's topic is about the sustainable future heading to metaverse. We want to explore the ways that the emerging technologies are affecting our daily life, and how we can use those technologies to create a more sustainable future. And the conference is planned for end of July, July 29 and 30 for 2 days.
Nare, you might want to go a little further from the computer, because your voice is not very clear.
Do you hear me now?
No, not well. We hear you, but it sounds muffled, like you're underwater.
Maybe I can change my mic. Just a second. Do you hear me now?
A little bit better, but still, do you want to try again? See.
Do you hear me now?
It's very muffled. I'm wondering is your yeah, maybe if you don't do the ears.
Okay, then I will try this way. Maybe some noises will be heard, but I will try.
It's still not great. I'm wondering, do you want to reconnect? I don't know. I'm sorry?
Maybe I can continue, Nara, because if you hear me well, then I can continue.
Well, Nare reconnects, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
while Nara reconnects. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and while we are talking about our upcoming activities, conference being the summary, a kind of whatever we do on the ground. This year we expect more than 2,000 people on site. We have put together. Sorry, Nare, can you speak again?
Do you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
There may be some noises out there. I'm sorry for it, but I will try to continue. This year, our content will be more diverse and vibrant, featuring keynote speeches from renowned speakers, leading speakers in their fields, especially in business and technology. The next important component will be panel discussions, so workshops and master classes. And then we will also have 4 different zones for production fair, creation fair, education fair this year, and our usual female talent recruitment fair. And one important highlight on the production and creation fair. Those fairs will be showcasing the businesses and products of women, exclusively of women. And this is a good way to showcase and appreciate the products and businesses created by women, so the female-founded businesses. And then another component of the content is our female-founded startup competition. I can proudly mention that last year we had applications from Jordan to Tanzania. And this again comes to prove the fact that the need and the importance of such funding opportunities in support of growing startups founded by girls and women. And one of last year's winners, Haikouhi, is here, and she will talk more about this herself. And the inseparable part of the conference is Sonamna Tsakanyan Female Talent Scholarship. And one of last year's scholarship holders, Meri, is here, and she will talk more about it. And all of these directions will be packed with a lot of fun and engaging activities throughout 2 days. And also, I will not unpack it now, but there will be some really interesting surprises on site. So pretty much that's it. Now maybe I can pass the word to Meri and Haikouhi to talk more about the remaining parts, and Seda will talk about the engagement opportunities as well. Thank you.
Yeah, before moving to Meri and Haikouhi, just briefly to introduce whatever we have as engagement opportunity for anyone following us here in this panel discussion. So, of course, we have partnership sponsorship opportunities for a number of actors being in Armenia or abroad. And then we have, of course, different types of direct engagement, like having a recruitment, production, or creation zone, like booth in those different zones, or being a part of workshop, masterclass place zones, placing specific activities there in case of personal participation, because we have decided to keep it just on site without any hybrid opportunity, because we do want people to be there with us. And then, of course, there is a chance to join any panel discussion, and of course, just be there as a participant following all those activities we put together. Last but not least, if you don't have a chance to be there with us in end July, we just yesterday announced our next step, which is coming to California end of October this year, and trying to open up FemInno as a new way to not only bringing people and uniting all these different efforts around female talent and leadership in Armenia, but also going towards the different communities, and starting, of course, with Silicon Valley and San Francisco. So whoever is interested joining as a speaker, partner, anyhow, being a part of it, we are very happy to onboard you. Just get connected with us. I am going to put in the chat all our contacts. And of course, there are certain ways to support directly. One is the scholarship one, which is open now, and we again are going to support 10 wonderful new talents like Meri, who's going to speak now, and also other startups, as Haikouhi represents one here. And of course, there is a chance we have I think a very nice opportunity for diaspora people to support. The conference is ticketed, and we say just donate a ticket to a young girl from a distant community in Armenia, and we will make sure we do invite a number of them, but the more we have chances to onboard, the better results we can have. Here is a QR code for direct donations. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and that's it for our site. At this stage, we will be open for questions, and passing the word to Haikouhi as one of the winners of our last year startup competition.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much for that presentation. And that's a great segue to Haikouhi. Haikouhi, the floor is yours, my dear.
Hi, everyone. First of all, before I start presenting Okni, I just want to say that prior to my move to Armenia, I heard about you, Seda, and I was so impressed and so in awe. So it's really exciting to collaborate. And Meri used to be one of our interns. So I'm really, really excited. It's a small world, but it's a very, very exciting one. So I'm a clinical psychologist, like Dr. Ani said earlier. I moved into AI out of stubbornness and curiosity, because why not? And then when the war happened, I just left everything and moved to Armenia and met really incredible, really motivated people. And we created Okni, which is all about empowering amputees to live more fulfilled lives, to be more in control of their present and their future. So I'm going to share a quick presentation, because some of the things I say might not make sense unless you actually see them. Hold on one sec. All right, can everyone see my screen? Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So Okni, empowered amputees living fulfilled lives, like I just said. We began our work in late 2020, early 2021. And the idea was creating an Armenia base. So we are registered in Armenia. We are a nonprofit, and every single thing that I will speak of and present is free of charge for our people, for our community. And the idea was to take a holistic approach, meaning taking both the person, the body, the spirit, and the environment into account in creating our solutions, and obviously integrating innovative ideas and technologies, because that is the present and the future as well. So quick statistics, 30% of amputees feel depressed or severe anxiety. clearly in most countries, but especially in countries like Armenia, a lot of the help is really concentrated in big cities, like in Yerevan. And then once we go outside of major cities, you know, there's a lack of medical professionals, there's a lack of help. And beyond that, what we noticed was a societal stigma, especially right after the war. Every time we would see an amputee walking down the street, obviously the first thought was, oh, this person lost their leg during the war. And so there's always this kind of like, it's either a fear or kind of almost a pity. And it's not a healthy, you know, it's not a healthy emotion for the viewer, but also for the person who's going like through their rehab journey. So what we did is we created 3 products. We have 3 branches. The first one is physiotherapy and mental health. So we have a booklet and an app. And this is to allow not only the amputee, but everyone surrounding the amputee, the caretaker's mother, sister, father, it doesn't matter, to have access to all of the exercises, to explanations in regards to psychology, to all of the tools, tips, tricks, anything that they need in order to go further through their rehab journey. That we have contacts for different other NGOs, for summer camps, for things like that, so that when you're going through something so traumatic and so complicated and complex as losing a limb, you feel less alone. So that was our first branch. Our second branch is prosthetic covers. So they are 3D scanned and 3D printed prosthetic covers, which means that since the printers are ours, we could create them in any shape, color, size that we want. And the idea is, if you want, so here's the thing, just to explain the idea, a prosthetic is a metal tube. And if you're wearing pants and you don't want people to see it, or if you want to wear a skirt and you don't want people to see it, it's going to be very obvious. And sometimes some people feel uncomfortable with their prosthetic, and it feels very bare and very almost basic. And so we thought, well, why not create a piece that attaches to that metal tube that could be anything you want. And so we came up with some really, really fun designs that I'll show as we go along. We could do any color, any shape, any height, any weight, anything. And this allows for amputees to feel more in control. Some of our users choose skin tone, others choose snake design. It's really exciting. So we get to actually see and create products that fit the user. And the final thing where Meri was involved is our educational program with Tumo Labs. And the idea is to create the first ever bionic leg made in Armenia. So, you know, we work on our proprietary code, our proprietary sensors. It's a really fun and exciting program, allowing for the Armenian youth to get even more invested in machine learning and all of these new technologies that are taking over our day-to-day life. All right, so I explained this part. We could move forward. I really want to show you guys some of the design so you have a better idea. A quick introduction, I guess, about our roadshow. We do this every year. We rent a van, we fill it up with different kinds of medical equipment, things that we give to our amputees, and we go all over Armenia. We present the products, we do some exercises, things like that, give the booklet, give everything that we have. And then we get to meet them one-on-one, because it's really, for some people, it's really hard to come to Yerevan and come to us. So we want to make sure we go to them. So we did this last year. We're going to do this again this year. We were waiting for the weather to be a little bit better. So we're going to plan this out very, very soon. And so these are the covers. These are just a few examples. So one of our soldiers wanted to do 2 colors. So we're like, why not? This is a lower limb amputee. The idea is, first we scan not only the prosthetic, but the remaining part of the limb. So we have a better idea of the body type and morphology of the person who wants the prosthetic cover. And then we have, I guess, sample sizes, kind of like in stores. So we test those out as well to see which fit would look better. So also for our amputees to be able to imagine what it would look on them. Some people want something a little bit more spicy and fun, others not. So they have access to different kind of samples at the office to test out. And so, yeah, these are some of our really cool, really awesome amputees who are wearing our covers. And the idea is to go even further and create even cooler designs that fit any kind of personality. It's really like going to a store and buying an outfit. For us, we want to make it as normal as going and buying shoes or a bag or an outfit. It should fit you and not the other way around. And one of our next goals is to fit the Paralympic team. So we're really, really excited about that. We want to integrate Armenian culture and stuff into that. What else? Oh yeah, the Tumo Labs project, like I explained, it's really all about education and all about the future of Armenia and what we could do to create something that's sustainable, rather than just create a solution, give it and just move on, to create something that can be repeated and developed and evolved throughout the years. These are some of our incredible teammates. So that dog, hold on. I'm gonna slip the slide, but I just want you guys to know that dog fought during the war and lost a paw. And we were able to 3D scan his paw and find a solution for him, which was really exciting. And another project that we did with Médecins Sans Frontières was create face masks, 3D printed face masks for burn victims of the war, so that the healing process was faster and smoother and just much more comfortable for the patient. These are some of our team members, and these are some of our incredible partners. So yeah, that's about it. And that's Okni.
I mean, what a moving presentation. I mean, the work that you're doing, God's work. Thank you, Haikouhi. Meri, do we have your camera fixed? Yes, we do. Great.
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, beautifully.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Meri Grigoryan. I'm one of the winners of the Sonamunatakanyan Female Talent Scholarship. And last year, I applied for the Sonamunatakanyan Female Talent Scholarship because I got accepted to more than 10 universities all over the world, but I got some financial problems, and then I chose Germany, Jacobs University. Even though my university covered 80% of my tuition, there was still money left. And I can proudly say that thanks to Sonamunatakanyan Female Talent Scholarship Fund, I'm here in Germany studying computer science and data science and achieving much more success, like becoming the technical lead of Google Developers Club at Jacobs University and joining the IT team of Hackon, which is known as a Jacobs Hack, an international hackathon organized by our university. And in addition, I am a data analytics student assistant at the our university strategy unit. And also, as this year, I was a very active student at my university. I became the peer mentor of this new academic year for the Constructor University new freshmen. And I can proudly say that I'm really grateful to be one of the winners of Sonamunatakanyan Scholarship Fund because it helped me a lot, and it helped me a lot to be where I am today. And I can't imagine without it where I was supposed to be because it has always been my dream to study abroad, and I really worked hard for it, and I'm really grateful for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Meri. And what inspiration for where we can go with the work that you all are doing. So I do have a few questions before we open it up to the audience, and I'm going to pose them, maybe target a person to pose it to, but please all chime in, panelists I'm referring to, and let us know your thoughts, if they differ, if they agree, if you know, it could just be a short 3-minute, 2-minute answer. And if there are comments in the chat box, we'll keep them in mind as well. So a couple questions, we can go ahead and start. Why don't we go backwards? So Haikouhi, your presentation, your very moving presentation. Let's ask a question that you posed yourself, which is fake it till you make it. How big of a role does confidence have when pursuing your goals? Clinical psychology.
Well, yeah, so here's the thing. I came to Armenia knowing nothing about the ecosystem. I'm obviously Armenian, but grew up very European, spent almost my whole life outside of the country. So creating a company here with, you know, working with men as a woman. I mean, most of our patients are men who have lost their limbs during the war. So it's a very specific environment. And so in the very beginning, it was kind of scary, but it was really important to pretend that I was really comfortable with everything that was going on, especially since this is something I knew nothing about. And then at some point, after pretending for a little while, I realized that I actually started knowing things about it. And then slowly but surely, it just worked. So yeah, and I feel like I've kind of done that a lot of the time in my life, and so far so good. So I think it's really important to be confident and just sometimes just pretend.
Nice, nice. Fake it till you make it, as the saying goes. Also, being underestimated is a superpower, you say.
Yeah.
A woman in a very male-dominated field is an opportunity to drive change. How do you harness that superpower for success?
Well, change is a very uncomfortable process for both parties, not only the party that's changing, but also the person or the group that's doing the change. It's very uncomfortable and it's sometimes scary. And so sometimes it's actually like I enjoy being underestimated a lot of the time, because I feel like then you don't expect something really awesome to come out of it, whether it's me, whether it's people around me, whether it's someone doing something really, really, really cool. Not expecting it, and that shock that you feel and that shift that it creates, I think is the best part of change. And I think, pushing boundaries is kind of the most fun part, at least for me.
And you think this is a way to push boundaries, to sort of bait and switch, underestimate, and then come across as you know.
Yeah, because why not? We all have assumptions. That's how the human brain works. We all have ideas about pretty much any topic that comes at us. And so when we have this idea and what we see is completely different, that makes us, process that difference, and then allows for some curiosity and then some shift to happen. And then, if that happens enough times, then that becomes the new normal. And that's when the change arises. So, yeah.
And how we push happening that more and more frequently is perhaps having more females in the industry, in the front, on the front lines. Interestingly, Forbes has reported that 30% of the workers in the tech industry in Armenia are women, whereas the global average is 20%. So shifting gears, what kinds of jobs do women have in tech? And this is open to all the panelists. In which discipline of tech are there more women? Biotech, software programming, business, telecom, AI, gaming, healthcare. And anyone could take a stab at that. And I'm also curious what percentage of these women are launching startups? Seda?
Yes, maybe I can pick that up. Working in the field for years now, I am really proud about the stats, but still have to mention that this global stat saying 30% of engagement, it does include a number of HR people, marketing people, like it's the whole engagement of female population or female professional base in the tech industry, which is still very good. But what we try to promote is the tech people, being it in programming, different fields of technology and innovation, and particularly in the science. So what I can say, and trying to answer your questions, is when we talk about more and more women in Armenia being engaged in the industry, we do follow that through the university stats as well, because year by year we see that especially in the engineering department, there are more and more girls. One of the biggest challenges, which is still the same all over the world, is to maintain those girls in the field, those who enter, like they are entering the universities in different engineering, technology oriented departments, trying to keep them in the field, especially when it comes to after getting married, having kids, and then getting into their social roles, trying to keep their energy and passion for the field, especially tech being such an innovative direction, but still we do have those problems. For example, not all the companies support maternity leaves enough, or do provide enough opportunities for mothers being very valuable part of their workforce. On the other hand, when it comes to which specific directions women cover better or more, I would say, considering our stats and activities and the engagement of different professionals, I would say for several recent years, it's more data science, so AI stuff, and then also programming a lot. Like there are more and more, and we are following a process of shifts from various fields into technology, being it even like banking, you know, some different economic fields into tech, because tech is first attractive financially, and then it's more creative and more progressive. So a number of women just quit their job in the field and then start like small internships into any field in tech, and sometimes they move from, let's say, QA to more engineering jobs, or vice versa. So it's a process we are following, but more and more roles coming into data science.
You mentioned maternity leave, Seda. What other policies, you know, government supported, need to happen to help increase or promote at least female tech entrepreneurship? I know I picked my career in large part because as a professor, you have great flexibility with your schedule. You get summers off to be with your family. Being a parent, a recent parent to a newborn, I can't imagine going back to work after 4 to 6 weeks. It's extreme, just in terms of the physical as well as the emotional, you know, 180 change that occurs to your healing that has to happen after you give birth. You mentioned maternity leave. I'm not certain about paternity leave, if that exists to help, or lactation rooms at work offices, or is that something that's the norm? Is that something that's coming up? Is that on the horizon to support nursing moms? Anything that you see as the government needing to do more in terms of this for policies?
Well, definitely there's a lot to improve and to push, including when it comes to women becoming mothers and supporting them in different ways on policy level, so that companies will have to accept and integrate those processes. But on the other hand, I would say that it is really important for the government to acknowledge different challenges in the field in terms of supporting female talent and leadership. And one way is that we appreciate a lot is also following what we as an organization, being unique, working on the ground, bring up. And one way to support also this process is, for example, promoting female founded startups, like Haikouhi is presenting here one. We for the startup competition that we initiated last year, it is very like specific and one of a kind in Armenia, but also in the whole region. When we concentrate, it's like one of the number of startup competitions, but with very important focus that we ask for at least one female co-founder being there in the startup, which again comes to say that there are a number of bright female minds out there who are ready to be a part of leadership teams for the new created teams, technologies, whatever. And there this is one way to showcase how different actors, including the government, could be could take up a leading role to promote engagement of women in leading roles in technology field, and including startup ecosystem.
And it's interesting, I'd be curious onto your take on other fields as well, political realm, etc.
Definitely.
Lots of different areas. If you can think of, I'd love to hear. I also want to draw the audience's attention to the 2 links that were posted by Seda in the chat. 2 different ways to support FemInno. She has the links posted in the chat box. Please make sure to note those and reference them. And I'd like to ask a couple of more questions before I turn it over to the audience, please. Nare, I'm wondering, maybe you can take the lead on this one. Let's bring the universities. I'm partial to this. Where have women tech entrepreneurs received their higher ed? If in Armenia, which universities? And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on what needs to be changed in a higher ed climate to promote more women in tech entrepreneurship. Like I said, I picked my profession a large part based on the flexibility of the schedule, not the salary. So I'm wondering if you always have to pick.
Okay, first of all, I guess we are all aware of the major problems of higher education in Armenia. That being said, just to enumerate a few key things like the lack of practice, the lack of connection between the job market and the universities themselves, and of course, the base teaching methodologies, like instead of promoting analytical thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving skills, students are forced to learn everything by heart just to score higher mark and to pass their exams. So I would like to highlight those key issues in higher technology.
So a lot of rote memorization. Nare, we're losing you again. Sorry, Nare. Maybe don't, try again. We lost you a little bit.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to say that idea generation should be promoted, because in this century, people just seek new ideas and thought-provoking and that kind of thing. Yeah, and of course, one important thing that young people are forced to make the most important decision, the so-called most important decision of their lives, like who they're gonna become, what's gonna be their calling in this life, and what profession they're gonna choose. I guess they do this only in their teens, as teenagers. And they don't even know what they're
Nare, we're losing you again.
about. But this comes from
Nare, dear. Hello. Oh, I think we're losing you. Nare. Nare. Sorry, Nare, you're going in and out again. It's not clear.
Maybe the location affects my voice. Don't you hear me now?
Yeah, maybe don't if you stay in that position. Let's try.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I guess this comes from the strictly defined structures and societal norms, and also the culture of the family, that they force their children to choose the standard trendy professions. And we're talking about girls, a girl who just decides to choose a so-called male-related profession. They receive a lot of criticism and pressure from the family. How can you choose this kind of profession? And this leads to a lot of workers, unhappy workers, who just do the job because they are paid for it, or choose jobs that are profitable, trendy, for example, law. These problems are so artificially created, and they come from only societal stereotypes and beliefs. And you asked about the women entrepreneurs. I guess I would mention the American University of Armenia. They have a lot of good programs on entrepreneurship, especially AWAPIC, which helps a lot of growing startups in Armenia to formulate their idea, to accelerate their startups and go to the market. AUA and also the French University of Armenia. It has good programs as well. So pretty much that's it.
Nare, with just my partial, again, bias, with all the challenges in Armenia, what do you recommend for elementary and secondary schools to offer or change in their education of girls? You talked about the critical thinking skills in the older years and not rote memorization. What would you recommend in the early years to help them be set on a trajectory for success, should they choose to embark on a career in tech?
I would again mention those analytical thinking and so on. But maybe they should be given the freedom to explore, to test everything. And again, it's not recommended pushing children to, I guess, learn to be the perfect one at every subject, because they don't have to be perfect at every subject. They have to learn the things they're really passionate about to help them understand what they like and what they don't, because today's schools are so how can I call it, they really force and sometimes punish children if they don't say something right, because children have the right to do to make mistakes, to do sometimes wrong things. And I guess this is something to be changed. And the most important thing, to give children the freedom to generate ideas and not to be afraid of making mistakes, I guess.
Excellent. I love that. Not to be afraid to fail. Great. That's fantastic. Okay, now I'd like to ask any of the panelists if you can talk a little bit about some of the challenges you have faced personally in a male-dominated industry. What are some of the gender stereotypes that really need to be addressed?
Well, maybe I can bring up my own example. When people ask me, my background is in humanities, and when people come to ask me, how come you deal with promoting women into technology if your background is not in technology, I say it is also because the reason that how I missed to become a great scientist, because there was no one like me to push me choosing whatever I was potentially very much into. I just followed the ideas. Luckily, my family gave me the freedom to choose whatever I would be good at or whatever my passion would lead me to. But I was like studying in Yerevan, being a perfect student at school, and then some teachers came to say that, okay, don't go too into math, and you are good in languages. Pick this, pick history, pick languages. I'm still happy to have studied history and languages, but still, if there was one person I could follow when I was at school, who would direct my real interest in chemistry, I now would have become a chemical engineer or whoever. But instead, I am very happy to follow my passion supporting other girls, and I'm happy to follow their journey and be there and keeping being proud about all those success stories that we collect and show off being girls in tech and FemInno.
Wonderful. Thank you, Seda. I'd like to invite our discussant, Gayane. Gayane, would you have a couple remarks that you'd like to make based on the conversation you heard today?
Sure, Oroudjian. It's such an exciting and inspiring panel. I am admired with these smart, beautiful, brave girls. And this event is just about sharing their success and achievements, but I think all is about leadership. And I see real leaders. And you know, few weeks ago we had Synopsis all hands event for the worldwide event. It's more than 20,000 people participating in that event, and we call it Focus. And the CEO of the company concluded his speech with a sentence that who has a brain to understand should have a heart to help. And then he modified it and said, those he or she who has a brain to understand, they should be brave enough to help. And I see all these stories with Seda, FemInno, and Haikouhi, and Nare, and Meri, and all of them are so brave to take leadership role, to make a change. You know, I work for Synopsis. Synopsis, I'm so proud and humbled to represent Synopsis. Synopsis is #1 company in the world in EDA, it is electronic design automation. So we create software that engineers use to design. And we also create technologies and products that help to make the world smarter. Like everything is going to be smart, and to be smart, they need chips. So by the way, a remark, 35% of our engineers are female, by the way. Okay, so I will move to my thought that these girls are really, they go out from their comfort zone. They take a leadership role to change, to help, to bring, to make the world a better place. And you know, I was thinking recently, leadership maybe is about responsibility in action, or maybe caring in action. When I was looking at Haikouhi's slides, I thought that without her caring about those people, she would never start this startup, this NGO. And Seda, without girls who should create their career, their life path, and helping them to understand the niche where they should be, to realize themselves as girls, as leaders, as a human who just needs to realize their talents, their skills, their knowledge, their whatever they can do for the world. So I'm really all of them. And thank you, Seda, for mentioning Synopsis. You know, Synopsis entered Armenia in 2004. Do you hear me? Hey.
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. So Synopsis entered Armenia in 2004. And from the first day, we initiated programs that should STEM education, tech, and even in 2006, we established the program. And in 2006, Synopsis management asked us how we can be sure that the education we provide in Synopsis educational department is the best. is one of the best. And we decided to establish International Microelectronics Olympiad. And the idea was that we should engage students from all around the world. And we had a year when we had 27 countries participating, and we brought them into the stage, and we started following to see who is the best. And we were so proud that many years we had Armenian students winning top prizes, and 2 years ago, Armenian girl Jana Hojan, she won the first prize, and she was the graduate of our department. She's now in. This story is about that we can do that. We do this, and any person, any company, any organization should contribute into making girls being successful. And I really appreciate Jakob and you for having this event and for sharing these success stories. It's very inspiring. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you joining and hearing your success story. It's so motivating to me, and I'm sure Dr. Papoyan. I do want to take this opportunity to acknowledge a number of successful women that have joined us here today in our audience, so many. I wish I could acknowledge all of them. I know about a couple, the work of a couple of them. Professor Anna Ohanyan, sorry to put you on the spot, a very eminent political analyst. I just thought I would throw a shout out. And would you like to say anything?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me just say, I'm so humbled to be addressing and honored truly to be addressing this distinguished panel. And I have been addressing lots of panels, none so important, I would say. And big thanks to Jakob Papoyan for putting together such cutting edge panels, bringing out these topics on a regular basis. But let me just say one word. I'm a technological dinosaur. But what I wanted to say, and what that I do think is very important when there are women's panels, women's rights panels. I'm trained in political science, and more political science research is pointing to the role of women in transforming societies. So women's rights should not be treated as human rights. Obviously should be treated as such. But it's not something nice to have. It's something that we must have. And I think when women are empowered, everybody is doing really well. I don't mean to preach. It's just that there is more data now that shows countries where women are empowered, are doing better economically, are doing better politically, diplomatically, and specifically on this work that the women in tech, it's so cutting edge. Because obviously, you know this better than I do, that technology is going to be the cutting edge sector in the 21st century. But women in that sector, that essentially, your work, you are essentially the Trojan horse for Armenia's development, because the spillovers from technology, women in technology are going to be numerous. I don't want to take up too much time because I'm sure there are questions from the audience, but simply to say, thank you very much for all you do. I'm really humbled and honored. Haikouhi's work, everybody's work, it just screams resilience. And it is also a word we don't hear enough. And let me just say, I already have my tickets. I was so shocked that I don't know why I didn't know about you guys before. I already bought my tickets for my family. I'm a mother of 3 girls. So I can't wait to see you all at the end of July. Thank you very, very much. I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, Professor Ohanyan. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge Diane Hetitian. She is, I'm trying to find her on the screen. I thought I saw her, but she's the founder and the CEO of Declarity, a global life science communication consultancy. And she's trained in breast cancer research and as well as patient research. So thank you for joining.
I'd like to just,
yeah,
for For
Please.
some reason, I cannot start my video. Okay, let me try this again.
We
Okay,
got you. There you go. It's
There
a
we
little
go.
blurry.
oh, okay.
Perfect. It's just lights behind you.
I wanted, thank you so much for acknowledging me, but I wanted to just be on this call because I just think it's incredible. I have reconnected to my Armenian roots recently. I don't know why the camera's doing that, sorry. Anyway, so I'll be there this summer, but I also just wrote back to you all in your through your link that I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. You're coming here. I want to help however I can. I have a guest room. I can drive people around. I can connect you with people. My background is life sciences, but I help any way I can. So thank you. I am totally impressed.
As are we. I'd also like to acknowledge, I don't see her anymore, Arfi Sarafian, who is a well-known author. Thank you for joining. I don't see her on the call anymore. But again, people will be viewing this hopefully later on and throughout the day and the time to come. I would like to take this moment to open it up to the audience. Questions, comments, you could go ahead and put it in the chat box or raise your hand with the emoji. And Dr. Papoyan and I will be monitoring both this and Facebook to see.
Also, maybe we should acknowledge Barbara Magarian.
Yeah, I just saw her as well.
Yeah, she's, I think, one of the founders of Iowa, if I'm not mistaken.
Bravo, Dr. Papoyan. By the way, Dr. Papoyan is the one who's noting all these people and sending me chats. He's so well versed in all things Armenia and so up to date on everything that's happening with everyone's work, not just preoccupied with his own. It's really lovely.
If Barbara wants to say a few words.
Yes, let me say, I'm sorry, I just, time slipped by and I just got on late, but this has been really a fascinating discussion. And it's been wonderful for me to see over the past year, the strides that Armenian women have made. I know I run the scholarship program at Iowa, and I know that we've always been so impressed with the applications we get from Armenian women in the sciences. And this is not new. I think it's been traditional. We've had women who have studied physics. I was just amazed at the number of women who are studying physics and the other sciences. So I think we have a wonderful tradition. I think one of the things I've worked on is emphasizing the role women have played in the past, but now we have a new situation, and it's very exciting to see what's being done with these young women and with entrepreneurship. And thank you for programs such as this.
Thank you.
I'd like to open it up to the audience. Questions that you may have that weren't covered. Dr. Papoyan, do you have questions that we left unaddressed? I have one that I was thinking of in terms of outcomes being measured, such as we know that there are many programs to support a tech industry, but how are these outcomes being measured? TUMO, Our Math, Co-op, Teach for America, etc. Do we have third party? How are these outcomes being measured?
I can just reflect on the processes being a part of most of the programs you mentioned, including TUMO. When it started, I was with the team when the whole center was starting in Armenia. We are lucky to have very good relations and partnership with most of the actors you mentioned, including Teach for Armenia, Co-op, and others. So, and when it comes to trying to measure the outcomes, I would say it still needs time, kind of to reflect upon and then also to bring up the results. But following what, for example, TUMO has been doing for the last decade. Now, when we, for example, open up a call for new team members in our own organization, we do see direct impact of, for example, TUMO. They're having real big impact on this new growing young generation who come to job market with certain level of skills in digital, in creative economy. So a number of things that myself, being a young kid, would never have a chance to, and any kind of access, because there was no TUMO or some of the programs that existed. So it will take a bit of time to have certain stats on what exact impact is being done, but still the programs are growing. All those programs are growing, and each of them is bringing very good, positive, how to say, new wave on the ground.
Okay. Other comments or questions, the panelists?
I think Anna has a comment.
Yes, Anna, please.
A super quick point. I think since we're talking about outcomes, the chart that the map that you put up, Seda, in terms of the FemInno conference network that essentially is coming to Armenia, that is striking to me. Again, from a political point of view, that's a type of a program that allows Armenia globally, as a small state, countries like Qatar, for example, that are able to punch above their weight. This is an example of the things that Armenia should be doing. And I don't want to lecture. I just simply it's so exciting seeing you do that. And that needs to be highlighted, that this conference becomes essentially people come to Armenia to learn from you and from your network. And thinking about the political impact of your work in terms of outcomes, I think you should take credit for it. And a small point, as I was listening to Haikouhi's presentation, and there's several other, there's local organizations that are created, and I'm like speaking like someone who obviously my connections to Armenia are strong, but sitting here in terms of our giving, a diaspora giving, we really do need a rethink, both in terms of supporting institutions here, but also it's so difficult to identify, to learn about these groups in order to support them from here. So I don't know, I'm just brainstorming and thinking out loud. I don't think the mechanism, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there are mechanisms I do not know, but I think there are all those new local indigenous organizations, nonprofits that are emerging in Armenia. We have to think in diaspora, so how should we be supporting these organizations? In addition to Armenian government doing tax reform, so there would be local support for these organizations from tax provisions. Sorry, I'm just so excited about this. I apologize. I'll stop here.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Anna. And by the way, going back to what you mentioned, just recently, we got a very good example of how we, being putting so much effort on the ground, could lead the way even on the regional level and kind of going beyond Armenia. And one good example I just remembered to mention is that last year we invited a very interesting, renowned feminist activist, speaker, author in Armenia, and one of our colleagues from Poland who is doing Women in Tech conferences for years, engaging more than 10,000 people from all over the Europe and all over the world. And she, this organizer of this conference, was one of our speakers as well. And she came to me saying, "Hey, Seda," and she's a very good friend and colleague from for years now. And she said, "How could you bring this speaker to Armenia?" And then we shared some thoughts. And this year she came to thank that because I met her in your conference, I managed finally to bring her to Poland, to Warsaw this year. So this is one of the very good examples how us being so small but very interesting in terms of having small but unique culture, we could ourselves and in our ways to lead the way. And also just recently, when it comes to answering a question, a very difficult question of what is your own end goal of doing this, I just sat back and said, okay, one of end goals would be to have a female leader of Armenia. So that's one thing that I am ready to put as much effort as possible to, at some point, realize that female approaches are those that we definitely need, especially considering all those difficulties that we have to go through currently.
Very true. Any final concluding remarks by our panelists?
I think we should also mention that Shabazian is here from Fresno, and I think she's in the veterans, she's the chief of social workers in the Veterans Administration. Am I right, Ms. Basmajian?
She might have stepped away from her.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, well.
Any concluding comments by our amazing panelists? Well, in that
I would like to say something really
sure,
quick.
Haikouhi, please.
So I think one of the biggest lessons in moving to Armenia and starting this whole process and growing as a woman and all these things is realizing that it's hard, but it's not that hard. And I'm not trying to minimize whatsoever the whole process. What I'm trying to say is sometimes the hardest part is actually like believing in yourself and saying that you could do it. And I think one of the biggest lessons was failing is an incredible experience. And I think as women, we're always taught to be, you know, quiet and calm and have like all of these things planned and being, you know, ready for any kind of, there's the typical kind of woman that we're meant to be. And sometimes, you know, we try out new things and we fail and it's okay. And it doesn't make us a lesser of a person, lesser of a professional, etc. So failure is amazing. Doing things that we're passionate about and that scare us means that they're usually the good thing to do. And it's not always that hard. So I think if I could say one thing, that would be that.
It's a great one thing to end the note on the conversation. That's beautiful.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I unmuted. Anyway, I am a Basmajian from Pasadena, not Fresno.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I grew up in Glendale. And when I met my husband, my family name is Jones, but he said, well, what's an Armenian? That was in Glendale back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
looks like we. Yeah.
I think I want to make a couple of comments. First of all, it is very important to succeed if Hayren Gsenk ser ներողություն հավատք հույս սեր եւ մգրտություն սա ճանցված է մեմարդ գիտե չէ եթե հավատ չունենաս գործիդ մեջ չես հաջողիր եթե հույս չունենաս հաջողելու չես հաջողիր եթե սեր չունենաս գործիդ հանդեպ չես հաջողիր այս երեքը քեզի գարդոնեն որ մգրդվիս, այսինքն մտնես գործին մեջ։ Այս ծևով կարելի է եզրակացնել։ Շնորհակալություն եւ մեր հաջորդ panel discussion-ը պիտի լա strategic planning and scenario analysis and relevance to Armenia's geopolitical challenges and opportunities in the South Caucasus. The panelists will be Alison Astronino-Courtois, David Agopian, Anna Gevorkian, Leonid Nersisyan, and the moderator will be Papoyan. So this is related to the AGBU's Armenian Virtual College, the new course that they have established related to scenario planning and strategic planning. So I hope you can attend, and we will, of course, send out the announcements. If we don't have your email address, please put it in the chat, and then we will send you emails. And also, if you know a friend who would like to listen to this kind of panel discussions, please give us your email address. And thank you again to the panelists for this very exciting and very interesting discussion. And of course, also thank Ani Shabazian for a great job of doing the moderation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Hope
you
to
all.
see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jora, for doing the technical
Yes.
part.
Thank you.